with the talent facing legal issues and more. This is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Before we get into the rest of the video, don't forget to press that like button and make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Rambles with notifications on. Asked if he'd watch the Vince McMahon docuseries set to release on Netflix, Jake Roberts said to Signed by Superstars, "Possibly I'll watch Netflix's Vince McMahon docuseries. I'm gonna wait and find out how much truth's involved first." Host mentioned it could be a lot of BS, which is what I expect. Talking about the contract situation of Rey Fenix and AEW, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, "As far as Rey Fenix goes, it's still up in the air with Tony Khan. I was told tonight that Rey Fenix has not been told that he's being released or going to be allowed to go, and he's got like a year left because of injury time. His contract itself is up the same time that Pentagon's would be, but they could keep him for another year. I don't know what's going to happen, and nobody knows what's going to happen. I know obviously he wants to go. We'll see." Touching on what could be in the future for Hilukeo in WWE, Ringside News wrote that there are many professional wrestlers who are simply waiting to make an impact in WWE, and one such name is Hilukeo. After signing with WWE earlier this year, fans were waiting to see when he would debut in the company. In the meantime, it appears Hilukeo has been added to the internal WWE NXT roster. The Bloodline has gone through many changes, with Solo Sikoa taking over as the head of the table. This also marked the WWE debut of the Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, followed by Jacob Fatu joining WWE as well. Hilukeo ended his time with New Japan Pro Wrestling at the Dominion event on June 9th, which was a big step toward WWE. This move fits earlier rumors, especially because of Hikuleo's family connection to the Bloodline storyline. Hilukeo had already confirmed in November 2023 that he was in talks with WWE, building excitement for his potential debut. According to a report by PW Insider Elite, Hilukeo has been added internally to the WWE NXT roster. Naturally, this is a big move for Hilukeo, but it more or less confirms he won't be joining the Bloodline just yet. Explaining why pro wrestling promotions have not run the Sphere in Las Vegas, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful said it's a variety of things. The cost of running the venue itself is insanely expensive. Word was that the LED ball cost $450,000 a day itself, and running that actual venue could be north of $1 million. Unless the event and scenario made sense, it probably won't end up being booked out by a wrestling company. UFC did over $20 million in gate this weekend, breaking their own record. Sticking with the Sphere, I've heard nothing about WWE reaching out about it yet. I know Tony Khan and AEW reached out and inquired about it. I don't know the reality of them actually ending up running a show there though. Giving his thoughts on how WWE is booking Jacob Fatu on SmackDown, Rikishi said this on his Off the Top podcast. "I think Jacob is being pushed too fast. When you go to Cody Rhodes, where do you go from there? Cody is the guy right now. I've said this before, let Jacob rampage through the whole roster. Give him a couple of those enhancement matches to build. He don't need but 3 minutes. Again, we've seen Jacob however long he's been on, a couple months or whatever, but is there anything different? You can only do so much on a run-in. This is what I'm saying. You really want to go with a guy, show his talent, let him have not a match but a squash match just so he can show his potential of what else this kid can do. I wouldn't feed Jacob to Cody. That match is not deserving yet to happen." For information on the TNA Wrestling contract status of Joe Hendry, Ringside News wrote that Fightful Select reports that Joe Hendry still has a significant amount of time left on his TNA contract, and it is not nearing its expiration anytime soon, so there is no chance of him joining WWE anytime soon either. Giving your thoughts on former WWE Women's Champion Mickie James, ex-WWE star Cherry told Wrestling Then and Now, "Oh, legends need to be in the Hall of Fame. Overall, just amazing person, worker. I wrestled her on the indies. I saw her in OVW. She was kind of in a different class going up. I mean, not surprised of her success at all. Talented, great person, works hard, work ethic, just gives her back to other talent on her own time. Incredible person. Funny, super funny, and goofy, and laughs at herself, and great to be around." Going over WWE's plans for Bo Dallas to be Uncle Howdy, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful noted that he was always planned as Uncle Howdy and was the person set to portray the gimmick. There were some instances where a stand-in was used, but that was the first time around before Bray Wyatt's untimely passing. The stand-in was never planned to be revealed, and it was always set to be Bo Dallas to the best of my understanding. Sharing his thoughts on the possibility of Wade Barrett returning to in-ring action in WWE, JBL said this to Huge Pop: "He's still young. He was a good worker. Yeah, I think he probably will. If I were him, do it. You have all of your life to do commentary. You don't have all your life to get into the ring. If I'm him, if you still have the urge, just try it. If it doesn't work out, so what? Go back to commentary. If it does, you've got something, and then go back to commentary." Mentioning how he is feeling following an injury he experienced, PJ Black told Developmentally Speaking, "I'm doing fantastic. Just going through some heavy recovery stuff, but other than that, I'm alright. This is probably the worst injury I've ever had. I've been wrestling for 27 years. This is the first time I've been injured in the ring, and it's gonna be about 6 months or so we'll see how that goes. I just got to put the time in." At a Chicago Bears game, Seth Rollins could be seen getting dumped over the barricade. For information regarding WWE content on Hulu, Ringside News wrote that fans who watch WWE content on Hulu should take note. Multiple shows, including WWE Raw, WWE NXT, WWE NXT Level Up, WWE Main Event, WWE Superstars, and reality series such as Total Divas, Total Bellas, and Ms. and Mrs. are all scheduled to expire on Thursday, September 26th. This expiration marks the end of WWE's current deal with Hulu, which was anticipated following the removal of WWE Smackdown from the platform after the expiration of the Fox deal. Not all WWE-related content is expiring, however. Shows produced through A&E, such as WWE Rivals and Biography WWE Legends, will remain available. Additionally, the Hulu original series Love in WWE Bianca and Montez, featuring Bianca Belair and Montez Ford, will continue to be streamed on the platform. Currently, WWE Smackdown and other WWE programming are available on Peacock 30 days after their air date, but there has been no official announcement on the future of WWE content on Hulu beyond this month. While a report from WrestleVotes Radio regarding SmackDown moving to 3 hours has been debunked, this was said regarding the future times for Raw and SmackDown, as Dave Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio. I don't know if they are going 3 hours. I asked the other day, and the basic thing was that both the time of Raw and the time of SmackDown are absolutely being discussed, but there was no announcement to be made. Recalling plans for him to face World Heavyweight Champion at the time, Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed told 9.com.au, "It was tough. I've gone on record to say that match was set. The people that make the matches had told me I was facing Seth Rollins in Australia, which is dream stuff. Unfortunately, Seth got injured, and I never forgot that." Talking about a situation that he feels took place between Triple H and former WWE star Caitlyn, Ryback said on his show, "There is a story there. There's probably an NDA there. Caitlyn's responsibility to tell that story, not mine. But I have it on close accord from people that came and told me with things that were directly involved with her that something went down between her and Hunter. And I'm not going to be, use your brains though, people, with everything." And then she leaves the company almost immediately after. Do you think that's a coincidence? Hey, maybe she did have something going on with all of that, but I would love to find out if there's an NDA with that and an abuse, not because, hey, people cheat on their spouses. I'm not, whatever people do in their lives is their business, right? But if you have a company and you're abusing power and NDAs are involved and you're affecting people's livelihoods and careers, F you with this. Giving details on WWE's deal with A&E, Sean Ross Sapp noted on Fightful Select's Q&A podcast, "I have mentioned this before, WWE is brilliant with their rights fees. They are now on cable TV, streaming, Netflix, streaming on Peacock and Network TV, in addition to having a social media show. When the WWE Network started, they had their library, individual documentaries, NXT, and their PLEs, all for $10 on the WWE Network. Since then, they've licensed out their library and PLEs to Peacock, licensed out NXT to a variety of platforms, and licensed out the production of their documentaries to A&E. Now, WWE doesn't have to pay to produce them anymore. They just provide the materials and A&E handles production." Mentioning the differences between Shawn Michaels and Triple H being in charge of creative, Carmelo Hayes told the Masked Man show, "It's a positive, it's not a negative at all. I think Shawn is he reacts with passion and emotion. With Hunter, he's very calm and cool all the time. It's never like you ever see him get out of pocket or nothing. He's very calm and cool all the time. There's nothing against being passionate and emotional at all, but you've got to be a little bit sharper with Shawn sometimes because he has a vision that he wants the vision to come true. If it doesn't come true, he's passionate. Hunter is passionate as well, don't get me wrong, but he's just kind of cool. He's not going to yell at you or anything." When it comes to the possibility of the Bloodline adding a female member, Ringside News wrote that Roman Reigns is already back now, but the Bloodline is clearly going strong and fans still do wonder whether there is a chance of the Bloodline finally adding a female member. Fightful Select has provided some updates on the potential for Naomi, Tamina, or Nia Jax to join the Bloodline. Naomi was discussed in creative meetings before her return to the company. However, to the best of their knowledge, Nia Jax has not been considered for this storyline. As for Tamina, she is no longer traveling with WWE and hasn't competed in over a year and a half. While there's a possibility for her integration, she is largely out of the day-to-day WWE scene. Nia Jax also made it clear she would be open to joining the Bloodline. Regardless, it remains to be seen whether a female member will be added to the faction somewhere down the line. Encouraging WWE to put a title on Miss Money in the Bank Tiffany Stratton, Mark Henry noted on Busted Open Radio, Tiffy time should happen soon, and it don't have to happen at a pay-per-view. Like, she is well off enough, connected, and has a balance with the wrestling universe enough to have a say-so. And if you wait too long, people gonna lose interest, and you can only have the briefcase for so long anyway, so you're gonna have to use it or lose it, so might as well get to work. Also on that show, Mark Henry said this regarding Andrade in WWE. Andrade, I respect you, gangster. I saw who you are. He's beyond elite. He is a super wrestler. I told Denise that he's one of those guys that sometimes you scrap everything and you say, you know what, I'ma just give it a year. I'ma give it 1 year. I'ma see if he can beat Eddie Guerrero. I'ma give it 1 year. I'ma see if he can beat Kurt Angle, because I think that Andrade can be. I think Andrade is one of those guys. Give him a shot. If somebody ever gets hurt and they're in the spot where they're like, damn, we're scrambling, we need something, boom, plug him in. He deserves it. He paid his dues and he is good. He's so good that he makes average wrestlers look good. What is he gonna do against great wrestlers? Following reports that Miro requested his release from AEW, an update was provided by Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful. They have not been on the same page whatsoever creatively, AEW or Miro. He had pitched earlier this year possibly wrestling Jon Moxley. I know they had considered or even wanted him to do the Casino Gauntlet match. Neither one of those things happened. He has not wrestled. Now, earlier this year, when they had announced Meat Madness, they have hoped he would be in it. They found out he was pretty behind in his injury recovery and it didn't happen. However, he is healthy based on what I heard. Miro had originally signed with AEW in September 2020 and he signed a 1.5-year deal that wasn't for an incredible amount of money. I did an interview with him and he talked about it. He said, yeah, and I told Tony next contract would be big money, and it was 7 figures from my understanding, but he signed that new deal in spring of 2022. So he has until spring of 2026 on his current deal. As Shinsuke Nakamura has been absent from WWE programming lately, Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful said this about him: he is healthy, he is fine. He was working WWE overseas tours, but just not being used at the moment. Touching on the legal troubles of a pro wrestling star, Ringside News wrote that a disturbing situation is unfolding in Mexico involving independent luchadora Keira and AAA wrestler Mysticis Jr. An Amber Alert has been issued for their 3-year-old son, who was reportedly kidnapped from a hospital by Mysticis Jr., the child's father. According to Rob Viper, the child had been admitted to the hospital recently for a blood transfusion, and Mysticis Jr. was contacted as a result. Keira, however, claims that Mysticis had not visited their son in 2 years since their separation. She insists that the child wouldn't even recognize him. As the search continues, an unmasked photo of Mysticis Jr. is circulating to aid authorities. Mysticis Jr.'s side of the story points a different picture, claiming that when he arrived at the hospital, he found his son malnourished and showing signs of neglect. He further accused Keira of drug addiction, alleging that her substance use was responsible for the child's medical issues. Keira had recently worked in Texas and was scheduled to appear at a wrestling event today. Mysticis Jr., who frequently works AAA spot shows, has not appeared on AAA TV since March, but was last seen wrestling earlier this week. Police are now involved as the situation develops, with both sides presenting serious accusations. as the WWE contract of Kevin Owens could be up in February. This was said regarding AEW's interest in KO, as Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful noted. I don't know if any progress has been made or how those talks have went, but what I do know is AEW wants Kevin Owens. If they do get the opportunity to get Kevin Owens, they are going to make him a big offer. From what I understand, Tony Khan and AEW have wanted him for quite some time, and if given the opportunity, they will make sure they do a lot to land him. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.